मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? आई एम नॉट एंटरिंग एनी डेटा in this, and I'll click on add course. It will display me a message saying please fill out this field because I have applied the required property. So I have to enter some data inside this. Then again I'll click on add course. It will ask for the next compulsory field in this case. So I have to enter some course details in this. Again click on add. It is asking me to enter the months of duration in this case. After entering all the data, now if I click on add course, again it is asking me to go enter the course details. After entering all data, I click on add course, the course will be added. But point is, first thing, here if I enter without entering the course fees, if I click without entering the course name, if I click on add course, it is showing me a message, please fill out this field. For everything, it will display me the same. Instead of that, I want to make change in this message. Instead of this message, I want to display a message saying that enter course name. Okay, so user defined message ಬೇಕು. So in such case, you cannot do it here because when you use the required property, this is a default message that is stored in the browser, and it will display me a message, please fill out this field. He will not tell me the label in this case. That is one problem. Second problem in this case. Suppose if I enter course name as numbers, which we don't have in this. ಯಾವುದೇ course ಇದ್ರೂ we need to have the course name in this case. So course name ಅಂದ್ರೆ it should be alphabets in this case. But what I have done is I have entered the numbers in this. Of course, it will give me a message. Please match the requested format because we have used the pattern property. So a pattern property use ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ it will not allow you to enter invalid data or apart from the pattern property in this. So until unless I submit, I mean I correct that particular input, it will not allow me to submit the data. But point is, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕತ್ತದ, he is allowing you to make mistakes and then he will display you a message saying that don't do mistake. Okay, of course mistake identify madana, that itself is a one good thing in this case. But the problem with this is allowing the mistake to be done and then you tell him not to do the mistake. Instead of that, how about the application where he will not allow you to make mistakes? Yaad better antar, allowing mistake and then telling you to correct the things, or not allowing you to make mistakes? Obviously not allowing to make mistakes in this. So that means if I type numbers inside this, the numbers should not be visible on the text box in this. So numbers type madadru, the numbers should not be displayed in this case. It should take only alphabets in this. So ee reetiyolaga, if you want to put the restrictions, we make use of a one more type of language in this case, which we call it as scripting language. We call it as a scripting language in this case. Now, what exactly is a scripting language in this? Scripting language is, in simple words, it is, we call it as a language which has some basic properties of a main language. Under one, already you have a programming language in this case. Our programming language's features you are taking in another language in this, which we call it as scripting language. Okay, so like example, we have a Java language in this case. Our Java language, it has some properties taken from that language, which we call it as a JavaScript language in this. We have a language called as VB. We have a VB script in this. We have a language called as C hash. We have a scripting language called as C hash. So these are nothing but the programming language is Java. For that, some features have been taken from that and they have created a language called as JavaScript. There is a language called C hash, and for that we have a programming scripting language called as CS script. We have a language called as VB.NET. We have a VB Visual Basic anta ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, and for that we have a language called as VB script. Okay, so these are nothing but these languages takes some of the important features from the Java language or from any of the programming language and they are implemented in this case. Okay, So it is something like a you can say subscript of the main language. ಈ main language ಏನದ ಅದರೊಳಗಿನ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು important features they have taken inside the scripting languages. Scripting languages, again there are two types. The first one we have is called as client side scripting language, and another we have is the server side scripting language. So there are two types in this case. So what is a client side scripting language in this case? Client side scripting language ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ the language which executes on the web browser. ಅಂದ್ರೆ the operations can be performed directly in the HTML code in this case. So such type of languages or such type of scripting languages, we call them as a client side scripting language. And all these above examples, above languages are the examples of the client side scripting language. Means you don't need to install any additional softwares to execute these client side scripting language. Just a web browser idre saku, in the web browser it will execute the client side scripting languages in this. Okay, we'll focus more on the client side scripting language later in this. Server side scripting language ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ these are equivalent to programming languages. The best example for server side scripting language, which is you have already studied, that is Python. Okay, Python is a server side scripting. ಅಥವಾ Python script ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. Script is something where it does not require a standard syntax. On standard syntax ಅಂತ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. Python program I can run using a is equal to b, b is equal to c, b is equal to a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to a plus b. Is further the program will execute. But if you write a C language program, there you have to write hash include std.h, conio.h, then void when inside that int a comma b comma c, then a is equal to 10, b is equal to 20, c is equal to a plus b, then you write a printf statement and close the flower bracket. That's the syntax of that. There is no such syntax for these languages. They can be directly executed without any syntax in this case. Such type of languages, we call them as a server-side scripting language, where Python is one such language. Second, we have one more language called as PHP. Using these two languages, you need not install any you need not have two steps of execution. So there are execution steps one there case where the program is directly executed in this case. Whereas if you remember C language programs which you have executed, C language you press Alt F9 and Control F9. So what happens is during the Alt F9, the programming language that you have written will be converted to machine understandable language. When you press Control F9, the machine level language program will be executed. So there are two stages of execution. Same thing with Java, same thing with C Sharp, same thing with VB.NET. All these languages have two steps of execution. Whereas the scripting language, whether it is a client side or a server side scripting in this case, eradu case naga, there is a direct execution to machine level language. So there are no two stages, there is only one stage. Even Python programs we have seen, like Yaudan programming Python.py further, the program gets executed. So there is no two stage, there is only one single stage of execution. So such type of languages, we call them as scripting language in this case. And Atrolaga, the programs which executes on the web browsers, we call them as a client-side scripting language. And second, which executes in the servers. The Python program run madbekadre, we need a Django framework in this case. We need a Flask framework in this case. We have a Streamlit and framework. So hinga a framework na haki, if you want to execute the programs, then we make use of a server-side scripting language. Server-side scripting languages, the best two examples is Python and PHP. Okay. Of course, server-side scripting language, we have already seen one of the language, that is Python. So today's class, we will be concentrating on the second or the important type of scripting language in this case. I'll put it in the second place. That is the client-side scripting language. Client-side scripting language, ಎದಕ್ಕೆ use ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? The client-side scripting language is generally used for two purposes in this case. One is verification and second is validation. Verification ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? That is the two purpose in this case, or the two uses I can say. One is verification, second is validation. VALIDATA. The first purpose, that is verification. Whenever you want to make sure that the data that is entered by the user is correct or not, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನಂತೀವಿ, we call it as verification. So take an example, ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಶೀಟ್ಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನೀವು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬರ್ದಿರಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದೇ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದ ವೆರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್. ಆ ಕರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ವೆರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್. ಸೊ ವೆರಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ whenever you are entering any data in the text box or any of the tags in this case, whether you have entered the correct data or not, checking for that, we make use of the client-side scripting languages. So the best example is you can see here. So in this case, I have entered course name. In the course name, suppose if I have entered numbers, I don't want the numbers to be accepted. Such case, we have to make sure that the inputs are entered correctly in this. So for this purpose, there are of course, sir, Andre, is it only dependent on the client side scripting? No, you can even check this on the server side scripting also. So server no enter ಮಾಡಿದ data correct ಅದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ check ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. But in such case, we generally prefer using the client side scripting language in this. Because say let us assume that you have some exam ಬೇರೆ ಊರಾಗದ. ಸೊ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹಾಲ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ID ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಟು ದ ಅನದರ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತೀರಿ, ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಟೇಕನ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಹೋಮ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿಲ್ ಚೆಕ್, ಆರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಸಿಟಿ, ಅನದರ್ ಸಿಟಿ. ರೈಟ್? So we check that when we are leaving before in this case. Because so of course you can go there, you can check it. If it is not there, you can come back and you can take it and you can go. Okay, but there is a problem with the timeliness. So time is a major problem because there is a wastage of the time. So it is always good that before leaving you should make sure that you check whether all the documents you have taken or not. The same way with the scripting in this. Once I have entered all the data, when I click on the add course button, the data will go to the server. Data will go to the server. Imagine online application means the data what I have entered will be stored inside the USA database. So these information will be stored in the US server. So ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ if he tells that no, you have not entered correct data and it comes back, it takes 2-3 seconds in this case. So our 2-3 seconds is a huge wastage for the processor. Of course, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಫರಕ್ ಬೀಳಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, 2-3 seconds ಹೋಗ್ಲಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. But for servers, 2-3 seconds is a very huge time in this. One. Second point, sending the data to the server and retrieving back the error message is also a memory consumption. Say you are using a mobile data in this. A mobile data 1 GB or 2 GB, whatever plan it is. A 1 GB, 2 GB, there can be there will be a reduction in the usage. Say 100 MB data ಕಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ that the entire data is not correct. So again 100 MB data will come back. That means out of your 2 GB, 200 MB is gone, which is not even useful in this. Yakandre data send ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ the data was not stored. He told there is error in your input. So such cases, it is very important that we must make sure that whatever the information that we are sending is correct before sending the data. Second thing is validation. Validation is the process where we need to check whether the user has entered the data or not. Okay, so here are two cases. Verification is whether it is entered correct data. Validation is has he entered the data. So data enter ಮಾಡ್ಯಾನ ಇಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ದ ID proof in ಹಾಲ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್. ಆರ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹಾಲ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ಬ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಯಾರ, ನೀವು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಹಾಲ್ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್. Will they allow you to attend the exam? No. So taking ID card is also important. Taking hall ticket is also important. Taking correct hall ticket is also important. Hall ticket, I can't take any hall ticket in this. Can you take a hall ticket of your brother or sister and go to exam? No. So taking a correct hall ticket is important, taking hall ticket is important, and these things must be checked before going to the exam hall in this. So, such cases we make use of a client-side scripting language because these are two purposes in this. The main purpose is client-side verification and the client-side validation in this. Once the data is correct, once you have entered the proper inputs in this case, then I want the process to be executed. So for that, we make use of the JavaScript in this case. Okay, JavaScript is mainly used for these two reasons. Okay, that is verification and validation in this case. Have you entered the correct data? Have you entered the data or not? Have you entered the correct data or not in this case? And once you have entered the correct data, then the data has to be sent to the server in this. Sir, suppose if I have not entered the correct data, how will he inform us? He has some built-in functions in this case. Using those built-in functions, he can show the message to the user in this. Say like example, C language we had a printf function. Python language we have seen print function in this case. Using print function, we display the result or message to the user. The same way, even in the client-side scripting languages, we have some built-in functions. Using those built-in functions, you can display the message to the user. If you have not entered correctly, or if the operation is completed, you can display that message to the user in this case. Okay. Now, sir, do we have any syntax or where should we write these programs? These programs can be written in your HTML page itself. Okay, so you have created a HTML page in the templates folder. So in the templates folder only, you can write the JavaScript code in this case. But sir, how will the compiler or the browser distinguish between a JavaScript code and a HTML code? Difference ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಬೇಕು. So for that, what they told was you can write all the JavaScript code inside a tag called as script. So any scripting language you want to write in this case, you should write the scripting languages. You can write the scripting languages in the HTML page inside a tag called as script in this case. Inside the script, you can enter your JavaScript code. Okay, yen code ಬರೀಬೇಕು that we will see in the later part in this. But yes, we have a tag called as script and use the script tag to write the JavaScript code in this case. Okay, inside the script tag, there is one attribute called as language. Language under property use ಮಾಡಿ here we can mention it as JavaScript, where we are telling the browser which type of scripting language we are using, because I told you in scripting languages also there are many types. So it is always good to tell the browser that we are using a JavaScript in this case. Okay, there is another property in this case called as type. So using this type property, you are telling the browser what is the content of this particular tag. Content tag in content ಏನದ ಅಂತೇಳಿ that we mention using the type property. And inside the type property, it is very simple. We mention it as text/script. Okay, text/script andre you are telling that there is a text script that you are writing inside the script tag in this case. So these are the two primary attributes that we use inside the HTML page to write the script in this case. So use a script tag. Inside the script tag, you can write down whatever the JavaScript you want to write in this. Clear with this? This is one method of writing the JavaScript code in this. That is code in HTML page. There is another method that we will see in the later part in this case. Okay, so this is the first method. Second method ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ, like we have a .py file where we write all the Python code in this case, we can have one more type of file, that is the JavaScript file or a file with the extension .js. So inside the JS file, you can directly write the JavaScript code in this case without writing the script tag. So you need not write the script tag if you are writing the code in the JavaScript in this. First we will be starting with this and later we'll move to the second one in this case. Okay, clear till here? Let us make a note of this and then we'll continue. Write down the notes. Under that, a scripting language is a type of programming language is a type of programming language type of programming language that is generally used that is generally used to execute the execute the programs in the client machine in the client machine. Full stop. In the client machine. Stop. Next line. Scripting languages scripting languages are generally scripting languages are generally the subset subset of of an another language of an another language known as known as the programming languages. And generally known as the programming languages. Full stop. Next line. The scripting languages are the single stage executing language are are single stage are single stage executing language single stage executing language where 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 the program is directly executed where the program is directly executed without 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 any additional software without any additional software. Full stop. Next line. These scripting languages, these scripting languages, scripting languages are generally used. These scripting languages are generally used for the verification and validation purpose. For verification, for verification and validation purpose. Validation purpose only. Full stop. Next line. Verification. Verification generally is used to generally is used to check whether check whether the proper inputs check whether the proper inputs are provided by are provided by the user are provided by the user, whereas whereas the validation ensures the are provided the inputs are provided for for the required fields for the required fields for the required fields. Full stop. Next line. The scripting languages. The scripting languages in languages can be classified into two types. Can be classified into two types, which are first one, server side scripting language. Server side scripting language. Second, client side scripting language. Client side scripting language. Client side scripting language. Right on the first one, that is server side scripting language. After that, the languages which are executed, the languages which are executed with the help of the server, with the help of a server in the backend, in the backend are known as are known as are known as server-side scripting languages. Server-side scripting languages. Example: Python, PHP. Python, PHP. Next, second one, client-side scripting languages. Client-side scripting languages. Under that, the languages which the scripting language number quadrant. The scripting language, the scripting languages which are executed, which are executed in the client machine, in the client machine, in the client machine, are known as the client-side scripting languages. Are known as client-side scripting languages. Full stop. Next line. The client-side scripting languages. The client-side scripting languages. Client-side scripting languages do not require do not require any additional softwares, any additional softwares to be executed, to be executed. As they are, as they are, as they are pre-installed, as they are pre-installed, as they are pre-installed in the browser, in the browser along with the operating system, in the browser along with the operating system. Full stop. Next point. The Java, the script, client-side scripting language, the client-side scripting language, the client-side scripting language can be written, can be written in two different methods, can be written in two different methods. That is, that is, first one, specifying the JavaScript code, specifying the script code, specifying the script code directly in the HTML file, directly in the HTML file. Second, by specifying the scripting code, by specifying by specifying the scripting code in a separate file, in a separate file such as such as .js, such as .js for for the JavaScript code, for the JavaScript code. Full stop. Next line. Side heading as code in HTML page. Code in HTML page. Under that, HTML defines a built-in tag, a built-in tag script. Write down the script in the tag format. A built-in tag script. Line number 19. With two attributes. With two attributes. First one, language. Language. Under that, it specifies. It specifies the name of the scripting language. The name of the scripting language to the browser. Name of the scripting language to the browser. Second, type. Type. Under that, specifies the content of the content of the script tag. Content of the script tag. Full stop. You can write down this example as it is. First, generally we don't use this method, that is code in HTML method is always avoided in this case. So we generally use the second method in this case. But before understanding the second method, it is easy to understand in the first method in this case. Okay, write on the second method, JavaScript file. JavaScript file. Under that, the scripting languages can also be the scripting languages can also be specified can also be specified in a separate file, in a separate file in a separate file with the extension with the extension .js with the extension .js with the extension .js inside the bracket JavaScript. Full stop. Right, the next heading has built-in functions, built-in functions of JavaScript. Built-in functions of JavaScript. So how we perform the operations in the script, that is using some built-in functions in this case. That's how we start with the script in this case. That will contain the tomorrow's class. Okay. Online students, any doubts you have, you can ask. Okay. Yes, we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.